In this session, we're going to cover some useful tips for fixed assets. We will update fair market values for the fixed assets, convert an account to a fixed asset, combine two fixed assets into one item, modify a template that we use for purchasing assets, and then several reports that we'll go through that you can use for fixed assets. So the first thing we're going to do is update fair market values. For fixed assets, that's not done from accounts, that would be done from your fixed assets screen. So we're going to go to Setup, Fixed Assets, and Fixed Assets again. And we need to go to the Balances tab. We're going to select our company that we want to work with and then expand our assets. And we could right-click and expand all groups so that you see all of the balances of all of your equipment. We're going to just take one at a time and expand machinery and equipment, and let's look at tractors. And in our tractors, we want to update our fair market value, and we want to update it as of the end of last year. So we're going to change our period up here to December 2018, and that allows us to just click in the fair market value column on the line of the item that we want to change, and now type in the new value that we want. And that can be whatever we think it is that we want to show on our fair market value. We're able to change our market values here. We have options down at the bottom that let you change different values, but you would only be able to change book value if this was the initial period, if you click beginning period, and you would only be able to change modified cash values if you were in the period designated as your beginning cash balance period. It will default to market values, and you can change market values in any period. When we make this change, it's going to update from this period that we selected all the way forward of the periods that we have opened. And you can just go right down the list and change any one of these that you wanted to. And when you have made all of your changes, then you're ready to click your Save button. And that will update your changes and show on your fair market balance sheet. The next thing we're going to do is convert an account to an item. So if you perhaps created a new fixed asset, you purchased a new fixed asset, and when you created it in maybe the account field, you chose new account instead of new fixed asset item. We'll just go ahead and do that real quick so I can show you. And let's buy a skid steer bucket. And it would be an asset and machinery and equipment. And notice if I try to assign a sub-account here, I can't because all of my sub-accounts have items underneath it, so it wouldn't allow you to do that. That can also be an indication that you're in the wrong screen. But if I just created this right now and click Save, that created my asset account, and we're not going to go through the whole payment. But now if I go up to Setup, Accounts, and expand my assets and go down to machinery and equipment, I see now that I have the skid steer bucket, which really should be a fixed asset, but it's in here as an account. It's the red $sign. Notice if I expand these other accounts under machinery and equipment, I'm seeing my fixed assets. I'm seeing that in my account screen because I have chosen the right-click item to display items. This selection right here toggles between hide items and display items. So I want to get this to be a fixed asset. I've already done my transaction. I don't want to delete it and do it again. I just want to switch it. So I can take that account and make it a fixed asset, but first I have to have it as a level 2 account. I can't make a level 1 account a fixed asset. So I'm going to first create a new account. That's going to be a temporary account. I could call it temporary, or I'm going to call it Make an Item. Again, it'll be Asset, Machinery and Equipment. And I'm going to save it. That's all I need. And now I can highlight the account that I want to make as an item, edit, and create it as a sub-account under Make an Item. We have to do that because it won't allow you to make an account, as I mentioned before, under an existing account that has items under it. So making a new account allowed me to make my skid steer bucket a level 2 under make an item level 1. Now I can right click on the skid steer bucket, which is a level 2, and select the option make account, skid steer bucket, and item. If I had several accounts out here that were straggling and should be really fixed assets, I could add them all as level 2 under this make an item level 1. And then when I choose this selection of make account and item, it would grab all of those accounts and make them all items. So we're going to go ahead and click that. It's going to say, are you sure? And we're going to say yes. And now you'll notice that it has the fixed asset icon. So next we can go up to Setup, Fixed Assets. And under our assets, we'll now see under Machinery and Equipment, Make an Item. Highlight my skid steer bucket and put it in the right group that I want it in. So I'm going to Edit and switch my Make an Item to Other Equipment. And we'll have to fill in this other information now. For machinery and equipment, you'd want to go to the asset detail and fill in that information too. But we're going to go ahead and save it. Now we have it under the right group. And we can go back to accounts and we no longer need make an item. So we can go back up here and it's going to let us delete that account. And that let us switch the account that was made by mistake as to a fixed asset. Next, we're going to combine two fixed assets. So if perhaps a fixed asset got created twice by mistake and maybe there was activity to both of them, we can combine them back into one. So we have under our other equipment, we have a forklift and a forklift 10. Well, they're really supposed to be just one item. So the first thing you'll want to do is go to your fixed assets to do this. And we're going to go under other equipment here. And I need to go to the filter because we actually inactivated that other item, and clear and apply. And now we see the forklift and the forklift 10. So the first thing you're going to want to do is see which one has the details that you want to keep. The balances are going to be combined, but you want to see which one has the details that you want. So we're going to go to detail on the forklift 10, and we notice that it doesn't have the depreciation amount. That doesn't look to be the right original cost. So we're going to go back out and look at just the forklift. And on the forklift, if we check, now that has the right original cost and a depreciation amount, so we want to keep that one. So the one you want to remove is the one you want to highlight. So we're going to highlight the forklift 10, click combine, and then combine it to the other forklift, which is this one. It'll come up with the screen to let you verify that's what you want to do. And click OK, and now we're left with the one forklift. And we can go verify that that information is still what we want. And if we go to the balances, it will have combined the balances that were in that forklift. So previously, I have to change to my other company that owns this one. Previously, the market value was in the forklift 10 and the actual balances were in the forklift. And now it combined them to have one item. If both of them had book values, it would combine that too. It wouldn't lose the balances. It would combine these two into the one item. So that's one way to clean up your list. The next thing we're going to do is there is a template, and I want to show you one thing first before I show you the template. If we go to the back to the detail, this original cost can be updated as you make purchases into the fixed asset. So that if when I purchased this for $29,600, it would have updated this amount for me instead of my actually manually putting in that figure in the detail of that asset. To do that, under Setup and General and Data Entry Templates, you want to highlight the template that you use for purchasing assets, which is DT increase asset. And if we go to the detail, you'll want to highlight the journal asset. That's the one that we want to be working with, is the one that's increasing the asset. And over on the right, there's an advanced button. In advance, there is an option to adjust original cost. If you check that box and click OK, the next time you purchase a fixed asset item or any asset, it's going to update that original cost in that asset detail of the fixed asset. And just save that change. And the last thing we're going to do is run some reports. So we're going to go up to Reports and Reports again. And first of all, there's a fixed asset activity report. So under fixed asset, highlight fixed asset activity. And we can select the date span that you want. And I'm first going to set display balances. This is a report, and I'm going to show you in a second, but this report can show you the balances of the asset also. We're going to set that at no first. And you have the choice of if you want to display depreciation or not. So we're going to set that at no first. And this report can show you all of the activity that's happened in fixed assets other than depreciation for purchases and sales. So we're going to go ahead and preview. And now you get a listing of the activity get the activity that happened to any of the assets that were either increased or decreased in the time period that we selected. If we go back out to the filters and set display balances yes, and depreciation yes, then you'll also see all the depreciation activity, and you're also going to see your balances. So you can see the accumulated depreciation and a depreciable basis, as well as if we look at the tiling here, you'll see the activity that came in when we purchased that tiling. So that is a report on seeing what has happened in your fixed assets. You can also see balances if you go to Reports and under Financial Statements, go to Account Balances, Fixed Asset Balances, and then on the right, select the period that you want to be viewing the balances and the company if you have multiple companies, and preview. That just shows a listing of all of your assets with the purchase date and all the columns of information. You can either do the balances with fair market value. Also, if you go over to columns, go to Available, and ending fair market. I'm just going to add that onto the end, and that would also give you fair market on your fixed asset balances. When you're looking at a balance sheet, remember that your fixed assets are getting summarized by your different accounts. So you won't see the individual fixed assets, but this report is a way to get a listing of the individual fixed asset balances. And then the last report we're going to do is an extra benefit you have by maintaining fixed assets is when you do your repairs, you can associate those repairs to your fixed assets and get a report on the repairs that have been done to your individual assets. Under Reports again, this time we're going to go up to Transaction Reports and General Ledger Account Activity. We can leave our date span broad, or you could select a date span of this year or last year. We're going to leave it at all. And I have already selected the account categories where I have accounts that I use associated accounts. And that was my repair and maintenance, my WIP category, my cost, and my expense. You can add other categories if you use associated accounts in other areas. And I'm not doing any other filtering here. I'm just going to go ahead and preview it. Once you preview it, now we have to add an extra grouping. So we're going to go to Group Sort, go to the Available tab, and find Associated Account. Check that, click my Selected tab, and I want to group it by Associated Account, and I want to group it very first. Okay, so now we're going to I also want to go and add a notation column because I often use a notation to describe what that repair was for. So I'm going to add notation and now click refresh. And if you're using account distributions, you'll have a section up at the top that isn't associated because that was just simply taking it out of repairs with no detail and putting it back in with detail. So you'll see that with blank. But now, as we go down, we'll see each one of our different fixed asset items that we used as an associated account to our different repairs and our notation. So it's a really good report to see where we've done a lot of repairs for a particular equipment, or if we needed to look up where we did that repair, just some good information on maintaining our fixed assets. And those are some different ways of helping you in using your fixed assets.